Another cloudy day. Kind of pretty though. You ever wondered what it's like to be a bird? Man, I think that'd just be so cool, man. I mean, some animals just have it better than other animals, you know what I mean? I just feel like birds just really are lucky in that way. They can just go wherever, no matter if it's storming or however the day is, they can pretty much get around at will. Yeah, some animals, man, just have it better than other animals. I was waiting for a couple more people to get in here. I'll be going through one of my flat files of cards. This is just like a regular monster box. It's not the biggest size box. I have a bunch of these, but of GPK, I think I have like 4 about this size filled up. I don't consider myself a card collector, but I used to be. I used to have a massive GPK card collection. So I'll be going through this, and today's topic, excuse me, is about the first day I saw Garbage Pail Kids cards, which I told this, I think, a couple of videos ago. But guys, I did some research, and that's why I didn't post in a couple of days, because I went down this rabbit hole, and I know the day that I saw Garbage Pail Kids. I have the date. I looked up the weather, because I actually needed to know the weather because of. I'll explain all that in just a minute. But yeah, that's today's topic. I'm calling it Dear Tommy. By the way, the other day, I should have posted a video, but yeah, I just got in one of my moods, and I actually opened one of my OS 1 packs. I'm only down to 2. I got 2 unopened ones left. I used to have a bunch of them, but yeah, open it. Dude, this was a great fucking pack. Look at this. Spacey Stacy, Evil Eddie, Pac Mint, and I use gloves too. Now he's a little off. Blasted Billy, same fucking pack. He's obviously way off center. But these are packed fresh, and the other one was Basin Jason. Where did I put him? But yeah, I'm actually so glad I opened that fucking pack. It makes me want to open my other 2 pinks. I've got this one that I'm saving in my pack set. It's my best out of the 2 that are left. I've had this for probably 12 years, this pack. The gum moves. But yeah, I got one more, man. I'm thinking about opening that damn thing. But yeah, I couldn't believe it. And I was so down, man, in that pack. Yeah, where did I put that? Oh, I took a photograph. I know where it is. I can't get it. But yeah, the other card was it Potty? It might have been Potty Scotty. It was either Basic Jason or Potty Scotty. But yeah, it was so cool. Guys, okay, so where I've been for a couple days, I did some fucking research, and I know the exact date that I saw Garbage Pail Kids. So here's the story. And by the way, I want everybody that's listening to this to do what I did. Think back to the first day you saw Garbage Pail Kids. Try to remember all the details. And let me tell you how I figured this out. So here was the original memory. Again, I told you this a couple of, last week or whenever it was. Okay, so it was after lunch. I was in elementary school. Now, see, I thought it was 5th grade. I thought I was in 5th grade. No, I wasn't. I figured it out. But anyway, my original memory was I was a 5th grader. It was after lunch, and they allowed us to go out in the courtyard. If there was some time left after lunch, you could just go out into the courtyard. There were some teachers that would stand out there and watch kids. They would just allow you to go outside the back door there. And a lot of kids, there were some kids that wouldn't even eat lunch because they were wanting to go out there and trade cards or whatever, just talk. But anyway, so when I went out there, okay, here's what I remember. It was definitely a cold day. It was dark and kind of like really cloudy, kind of like it's going to storm soon. I walked up, there were 3 kids there, 3 or 4 kids. But the main thing was there was this bigger kid who I'm just going to call him the bully, okay? Because first of all, he was a grade older than I was. And see, that's where my memory, I had to go back and check this because in elementary school, 5th grade is the oldest grade. But he would, so anyway, here's the original memory. I went out there, the kid that I call the bully was standing there and he was holding a stack of cards kind of below his stomach area because it was cold. He had a tan jacket on, which now thinking back, I think it's a members only jacket. It was like one of the khaki ones. He had dark hair and he was just bigger than us. And he had a stack of cards. In front of him was a fat little kid who was in my grade. He wasn't a friend of mine. He was kind of a nerdy kid. But when I got up to him, it was the fat kid who had like a little, like maybe 5 or 6 Garbage Pail Kid cards. And sorry, let me go through this. Yeah, make it entertaining. Yeah, this, by the way, is like my OS 1 to OS 15. And that's how fucking yellow that is, by the way. Yeah, I've always been one, man, to just, I like to be able to hold these cards and pick them up, you know what I mean? Like, and I have Nasty Nick and all them, but I took them out for that show I was in, and I don't know where I put them back, man. That shit was so crazy. Over here I have a pack set, obviously, and then my fan set starting here. This is the original. This is not Redux. This is the original first fan set from 2011. Then the second fan set, all original. And then a third, fourth, it goes on through here. I'll show you those in just a minute. So anyway, I'm walking up. Now the third kid that was next to the fat kid didn't have any cards. And what he was doing, when I got up there, I realized he was begging the fat kid to loan him one so that he could trade. He was basically saying, I have some cards at home. I think they were friends is what it was. So I walked up there, and while I was walking up, some other people that were coming out from lunch started gathering around. And I noticed the boy started getting really nervous, the bully. I'm going to call him the bully. He probably wasn't a bully. But, as a kid, anyone that was bigger than you, especially as a boy, you know what I mean? Like, you know how it was. We always size each other up. And, this kid could kick my ass in a fight. I mean, I wouldn't have been scared to fight him, but it's, how it was. Like, it came with some respect there. He was just a bigger person than I was. But anyway, so people started gathering around, and the kids started getting nervous. He thought the teachers were going to break us up, or at least go over there and confiscate the cards. When I got up there, the boy was hiding them. It was almost like they were dealing drugs in a way. I couldn't even see the fat kids' cards either, because they were holding them down kind of like below their stomach and kind of bent over like they're dealing drugs. But the first card I saw, and it was from the stack the bully had, was Tommy Gunn. Let me tell you something. That actually changed my life. I've always associated Tommy Gunn. Actually, let me pull that card. That makes way more sense than just talking randomly about it. Where you at, boy? There he is. All right, here we go. Dude, if you showed me this card in December of 1985, I would have screamed. If no one was around, I would scream. Like this, seeing that bully, that kid that was just bigger than me, and he wasn't in he's not a kid that I would have ever hung out anyway with. Like, he just felt like he was in a better class than I was, like a better, social class. Holding this card like, I just wanted to feel that. I wanted to have something that people wanted. And I think that's been sort of my subconscious, whatever theme to this whole thing. So anyway, that's the memory. I don't even think the kids traded cards. I'm pretty sure the fat kid didn't have anything. I kind of remember everyone getting spooked because so many kids rushed up. I think they thought it was a fight. You know how those were back in the day. But anyway, the bully was like, he put his cards up. He didn't want any teachers, getting the attention of the teachers who were monitoring that area. But so that's the original memory. All right, so I got to thinking. One of the biggest mysteries kind of in my life that I've always kind of wondered was, first of all, what grade was I in? And just like, I just needed to know more about it. So the clues were, I remember distinctly we had 2 months before OS3 came out because some kids told me that because I started doing research. All right, so yeah. So the first thing I checked, and remember the kid had jacket on, and I do distinctly remember it was cold. In fact, the courtyard didn't have many people outside because it was a cold day. And that's what kind of made that stand out so much. As a kid, I wouldn't normally walk up to older kids. You just didn't do that. You were afraid they'd beat you up or just say something mean to you. So obviously it was some event that I wanted to check out. Let's see where I'm at. All right, so fan sets. This is the third. This is the original set. The whole set's in these 4 packs. Trust me. Pungoon. This is a North Korean fantasy fan set. This is a space set that came in packs. These are the same packs that the Flashback series came in. The same company did these packs for the collectors. So, all right, so I looked up the weather for 3 months, those 3 months. Okay, I thought, I was assuming it was November. Because after I went on AJ's site, I realized OS2 came out in January. Okay. But in Atlanta, how the distribution from Pennsylvania is and all that, we didn't always get things on the first day. Sometimes it would take a week. I noticed that later. When things were released in Atlanta, we would get things about a week later if we're lucky. It took about a week for things to start being seen in stores. But anyway, when I looked at the weather, I wish I could show it to you. It was unusually hot in November. In fact, it was in the 70s and 80s. And I remember distinctly being cold. I knew it wasn't October because that's when OS2 came out. We couldn't find the blue packs. By the time I got to them, no one could find them. So it has to be December. So I was looking at the weather. There's only 1 week in December 1985 in Atlanta, Georgia, that was even remotely cool, and it was the first week. Okay, and I also remember it was either a Wednesday or a Thursday because I remember the very next day getting up and I went on a mission to ask just my circle of friends if they knew what these were or if they even had any. Here's the other fan sets, guys. So we got Chinese. That's pretty old. That was a long time ago. Udoti Undali, made with the same packs as the space set. These are out of order, but these are the new splats. Make sure you get those. So my eyes keep going back to December 5th. Now, it could be December 4th, but my eyes keep going back to December 5th. On that day in Atlanta, Georgia, it was 50 degrees. Okay? In fact, around 12:30, which was after lunch that year, it probably was like 47 degrees. All right, so I'm like 90% sure it was December 5th, but it could be December 4th. It was not December 6th. And the week after that, it got hot again in Atlanta. And then we went out for Christmas break. So obviously it couldn't have happened during a break because I found these at school. So it's the 5th. I'm like so sure. So I'm recommending you try this. Think back to the first time you saw Garbage Pail Kids and do a reverse search, or I don't know what you call it. Just research and see if you can find. I don't know why he's in a case. Sapphire. Psst. Yeah, see if you can nail it down to one day. One thing that came up was I remembered something that had I not done this research, I would have never remembered. Because when I figured out it was December, I had a memory. Christmas morning, 1985, when I was opening my presents, in the back of my mind, I was wondering, did my mom find the blue packs that we had been searching for? Because sometimes she would do that. Like if I was looking for a Star Wars figure and I couldn't find it, she would go out there and find it, and she would just put it as a Christmas present, like if it was around December, So now I remember it was December because on Christmas morning, I was looking through my my Christmas stocking, and there was no blue packs. And dude, this memory came to me after 35 years. By the way, this is, I've just gone through different fan sets. This is a Bukimi Kun 2. Yeah, Series 2. Very cool item. This is a Dutch, something down there, Polish. These are all fan sets. That's a blue metal atom bomb. No engraving on the back too. Bonus cards. I'm not gonna get all those out. These are more fan set bonus cards. That's something you have to be a member of Don to get. So yeah, I'm actually really excited to finally know that. Oh, and another thing, I had to figure out what grade I was in. So in 12th grade, when I graduated high school, it was 1994. So here I did. I put all my grades that I was in. By the way, I did go to kindergarten twice, so you can make fun of me for that. The thing though, I have an August birthday. I'm August 15th, and so I started school the week before I turned 5. So I actually started school as a four-year old. I was 4 years old, and they didn't know kind of what was going on with me until later. I have I'm on the spectrum. But anyway, yeah, that came later. And but anyway, yeah. Anyway, yeah. So anyway, I forgot what I was saying. So guys, I was in 4th grade. Now it makes total fucking sense. Of course. Because that was always confusing to me. Why didn't I know the bully? And even as a kid, I knew something was wrong with this story. I was a 4th grader. It was December 5th, 1985. I was 4th grader. 50 degrees outside. 12:30. Went outside. Now it makes total sense. And yeah, I'm just really happy to know that. By the way, I never did get Tommy Gunn until like a year later, and he was super beat up. I never actually owned him really as a kid, except that really beat up version. Like I think it was even missing some of the border. It was in really bad shape. Now I owned the giant card, of course. Everyone owned that, and I had him. Well, no, I didn't have the poster, did I? I had him somewhere, somehow, on another something. Yeah, I saved Gun, man. This is cool. Cool to have a little case of gum. Sorry, I skipped a lot of this, didn't I? Let's see, I don't know what some of this is, actually. What's all this shit? Yeah, man, Oh, these are trashy treasures cards. I'm gonna be selling all my trashy treasures here, and I don't know when, man. I might start today, actually, or sometime. Actually, I'm going out of town for a couple days, but maybe after that. Wait, I think these are more fan sets. Oh yeah, UG Wraps. Yeah. I just wanted to be in that higher, I think that higher social class, and just seeing the imagery of a gangster, Al Capone, probably, fighting and dying on his shield like this, and just seeing that kid who was bigger than us. And you remember back in the day in 5th grade, like you would some boys would start puberty, and you could tell by just how their face looked. It started getting that puffy or like that more filled out look, because I was a skinny white boy, man. And I always kept that kind of that youthful, skinny white boy look until much later. But he had that look, like he had started puberty, and that's another thing in elementary school I think a lot of people forget, is that transition. It was weird. Like there would be kids that were tiny and really immature looking, and then you'd have these guys that would have stubble on their face. Like even in 5th grade and 6th grade, it was crazy. But he was one of those. and I did my best to fit in. I remember we finally found the green packs in a Kmart. Hold on, I don't even know what I'm looking at here. Okay, hold on. All right, these are the all new Series 4 game set. This, I don't have to put you down is the big problem. I'm gonna put you down a second. Oh, okay, these are the Luis Diaz. Yeah, got a big stack here. These are, you know, all those Gavage parody kids. These are getting some age on them. Okay, you get the point. But yeah, my memory of that's my first memory of seeing Garbage Pail Kid cards. And my mom, she was really good about like taking me out to find things, Transformers and stuff. She was really good about that. But yeah, we finally found the green packs in a Kmart. And my memory about that is seeing the packs go on the conveyor belt. Because, you know, my little kid's hands, I couldn't pick up the whole stack of green packs to set them on the conveyor belt. It took two trips, two hands. So I put a stack down, and then I reached in the buggy and got the rest of them. And I think that's why I remember it, because I was like, it felt like I was buying a ticket into being somebody at school. That's what it felt like. Like I could actually, like maybe tomorrow I could walk up to the bully and maybe he would, you know, respect me or talk to me, or maybe I could be a part of his gang, you know, because I didn't have a gang. In fact, I didn't even know that fat kid in my own grade. And later when I did research, I found out actually a lot of the kids, not a lot, but more kids had these than I even knew. There was even some girls that had them, which, I don't know, it always baffles me. I don't know why. I'm always asking the female collectors, like, what? Why do you collect these? I don't know why I found that weird. Yeah, this is a complete random fucking... Oh, okay, I know what this is. All right, this little section is like cards that I'm saving. I think. Sorry, never mind. I don't know what that is. No, it actually isn't what I'm saving. Yeah, would I save that? No. Yeah. So that's that story, man. So yeah, so what you do is I want everyone to think back to the very first day you saw them. Now I have a very visual, you know, almost photogenic memory. But how I was able to narrow it down to either December 4th or December 5th, 1985 was, first of all, I remember what series came after when I started collecting, which would be the green packs. And you can look at the dates. I just go on Aaron's site, which is gpkworld.com, and he has all the dates. And maybe gpk.com has it too. I don't really know. But I know Aaron's site has it. And then the big thing was the weather, because you can do weather like they do like archival weather things. It's free. You can just look up like I think I was on Farmer's Almanac actually. They have it, and you can actually go back and find it. And I was able to narrow it down quickly to the week. Like it's so obvious what week it was, because that was for like 2 months. There was only one cold spell in Atlanta, and it was the first week of December. And then I remembered the next day coming back to school and asking everybody, like going on like a secret mission. So it couldn't have been Friday. It had to be Thursday. And I just remember it was like at the end of the week. So it might have been Wednesday, but for some reason I just know it was, I don't know, something in me. I just know it was the 5th. But anyway, it was cool to find that out. And maybe it doesn't matter. And also try to remember what card you saw first. I mean, had I saw Cheeky Charles, would I be standing here? Would I be sitting here? There's something about Tommy, something about that kid, in particular holding Tommy, something about how that kid was holding Tommy and hiding it, hoarding it, almost like a carrot in front of your face. Something about how there were so many kids that wanted that card, but he wouldn't let you have it. It almost became the barrier to another world. And it was a world I had to see for myself. But, I've seen it, so... I think as boys, some of us, there's something about the gangster lifestyle that's really cool. Maybe it's because as kids, you're kind of small, man. Everything around you is bigger than you are, and you're just a kid, and you're just vulnerable, and you just want to like be. I don't know about you, like I wanted to be part of a gang, and I just wanted to have safety. I needed someone to have my back. And yeah, that's the reason I became the garbage gangster. Russ Van out.